Hello and welcome to Lawyerish, podcast for the people. Lawyerish is a safe space to learn, grow, inspire, and be inspired. So come along and ride on this fantastic voyage. Let us go be great together. I'm Brandon J. Wallace, Esquire, and I'll be your captain. It's a whole vibe, and I sure am glad you're here. Lawyerish is brought to you by Apex, where aptitude meets excellence. And we're powered by the Green Law Firm, your one-stop shop for everything real estate in Tennessee and Mississippi. Friends, we got an exciting show today. Our Voyage Vibe, however, is brought to us by StreamYard. This is Daydreaming. I like this vibe. We got an exciting show today. It's going to be a little different. I got a lot to talk about, lots of things to tell you. It's going to be an abbreviated show. Don't worry, but buckle in. It is going to be a good one. So let's get right in to Duly Noted. All right, friends, we're back. It's time for Duly Noted. I want to start my Duly Noted off by letting you know that we're going to take a bit of a summer recess. As you know, we do 2 episodes a month, the first Tuesday and the third Tuesday of every month. But July, as you can see, we because of the holiday, we've taken the first Tuesday off. And so this show is airing on the second Tuesday. But this will be the last episode for the month. We will come back on our regularly scheduled program beginning in August. I'm tired, boss. Okay, I'm just tired. I need to take a break. As you all know, my mom is running for school board commissioner here in Memphis, Tennessee, and I have taken a very prominent role in the campaign and working very hard and putting all my energy into making sure she gets elected for the scholars of District 3 and all the kids here in Memphis, Tennessee. Anyway, just a side note there, we are looking for volunteers and donations. If you want to learn more about those opportunities in her campaign, visit her website at Angela Rogers for D3Scholars.com. That's Angela Rogers for D3Scholars.com. That is the number 3. Again, looking for donations and volunteers. So help us out. Let's make some great change for the kids here in Memphis. She's uniquely qualified, and she's got a track record to prove it, to bring people together. And she is focused on early literacy and modernizing our schools with a focus in public safety. So she's the right woman for the job. I believe that. And there's lots of other bonus kids of hers and friends who believe it as well. Join the movement. We look forward to seeing you on the campaign. So with that said, I'm going to be working on that over the next few weeks and months, or few weeks. The election is on August the 1st. Don't forget to vote and tell your friends. Early voting is going to begin here shortly. And so we are putting all of our energy in making sure that she gets elected. And we thank you for your support ahead of time. So with that being said, back to our regularly scheduled program. We're going to take a brief recess over the summer, really over the month of July. I hope you will do the same. I hope you're enjoying this hot weather and you're staying cool and you're enjoying time with friends and family as much as possible. So we'll be doing that and allowing our team to do that as well. And so that's our update in terms of our scheduling update in terms of Lawyerish. I also want to just take a quick moment to recognize one of our friends who has bid us adieu, Ms. Margaret Deloach. She was a producer on the show. You guys got to see some of her great work over the past few months. Margaret took another gig, and we are sad to see her go, but we're very happy for her and congratulate her on her new professional endeavors. So good luck to you, Margaret. If you're listening, thank you for all the hard work that you committed to Lawyerish and to making this dream a reality. We appreciate you and all of your efforts and all of your insight. And we are going to miss you. I miss you already. So anyways, I hope you're listening. I'm wishing you all the best and congratulations again on your new professional path. Thanks again. And we're here if you need us. Blessings to you and to yours. So, all right. So thank you, Margaret. So let's get further into duly noted. My next piece of duly noted today, this is the good piece. I want to do some of the good stuff, get that out of the way, because I've got some touchy subjects to touch on a little bit later in this episode and in duly noted altogether. But I'm excited to also reference Mr. Quincy Wilson. He's a 16-year-old out of Bowie, Maryland. This young man is an amazing, amazing young man. He is going to the Olympics. He's the youngest person to go to the Olympics this year in Paris. I'm excited about the Olympics. I hope you are as well. It's an exciting time, both for our nation and for this young man. I always like the Olympics because it brings America together in so many ways. And really, maybe it's just one way, and that is winning. Americans like to win, no matter if you're Democrat, Republican, black, white, brown, or yellow. We like to win. We're competitive, and the Olympics gives us an opportunity to compete on the world stage, and display what we like doing the most, which, of course, you guessed it, is winning. So I wanted to send some love today and some encouragement and some kudos to this young brother. His name is Quincy Wilson, again, out of Bowie, Maryland. He runs the 4x1 and also the 100 yard dash, I believe. And I've just seen him run. I've seen him do some interviews, and I am impressed by this young man. And I want him to know that the Lawyerish team, the Lawyerish family is 100% behind him. We're rooting for you, sir, and we're proud of you. It's an amazing thing to see him run against, these seasoned adults and to compete and to win. This may be the first time you've heard his name, but I guarantee you it will not be the last. This kid's a superstar, and I'm excited to be able to say that and to see it myself. So good luck to you, sir, over in Paris. We're rooting for you. Bring back some medals, and we look forward to seeing what you can do both this year and in the years to come. So kudos to Mr. Quincy Wilson. Mr. Quincy Wilson, bless up and blessings to you. Best wishes over in Paris, and best wishes to all of our competing athletes. Again, we love to win, so let's show them what we're made of, even though this is a very difficult time for our country. Speaking of which, I think I have to talk about now the Biden-Trump debate debacle. Boy, that was tough to watch. I think by now most people have either watched the debate live or watched the replays or caught many of the clips on the social medias. And boy, that was a difficult debate to watch. I must admit, gosh, that was tough. Not only because President Biden was found it difficult to string together a sentence or to make a clear message, but also because the sentences that former President Trump pulled together and strung together, the sentences that he put together were lies. They were all lies, and it was just difficult to sit through that, him lying and President Biden stumbling through stumbling to make a credible argument or to articulate why he should get another 4 years. Boy, that was just tough to watch. And I was one who sat through the entire debate. And I had some bones to pick. I have some bones to pick, both for President Biden and for his team, but also for the Democratic Party and the American people. So let's get into it. So first of all, I have no idea why anyone would agree to an hour and a half debate with no notes. To me, that's unfathomable. There's no way I go into a meeting. There's no way I go into a courtroom as a practicing attorney. There's no way I do this podcast without notes. I've got notes as we speak. Now, not a whole lot of notes, but I've got notes nonetheless. It just makes sense. And so to have someone do an hour and a half of talking with no notes, I just don't know who agreed to that, why they both agreed to it. I don't know why they both agreed to it. I don't know whose idea that was or what they were trying to accomplish, but that was an incredible fail There's no way that I would personally agree to that, and there's no way I would let my candidate agree to be in a debate for an hour and a half with no notes, just none. It doesn't mean you need to follow the notes or read from the notes, but to have them to reference, just that is just, again, that's par for the course. I wouldn't go to a meeting without having notes. I certainly wouldn't go to court without having notes, without having my file. That just, it's unreasonable. And to ask the leader of the free world who who ran the country all day long to now come to a primetime debate in the evening. It's a late debate, by the way. So it's a late debate in the evening after running the country the whole day, running the country all the way up to walking onto the stage, and to now debate with no notes just seems to me, I can't fathom it. I don't know why that was done. And I think whoever suggested that, whoever allowed it, needs a slap on the wrist, right? Even if it was President Biden. Sir, no, we're not doing that. You got to have a stronger team. So that was certainly a no-no. I would not recommend, okay? I think also whoever agreed to there not being an audience, I think, first of all, President Biden is somebody who feeds off the audience. He feeds off the interaction. He loves it. He's what we call an extrovert. We saw this prime example when it came to the State of the Union, where he was fiery, where he was interacting with the crowd and argumentative. He was taking the fight to the people, for the people. And that's what we saw. And I think a lot of that we saw because of the engagement with the crowd. And so for him to not have that at this debate seemed to be counterintuitive. Furthermore, I see it as uber counterintuitive just as a debate in general, right? Every debate that we see, that we know about, debates happen in front of crowds. You go to a high school debate or college debate team competition, there are crowds there. Why, with the stakes being so high, with the audience of millions, would a U.S. presidential debate not be both televised and in front of a crowd? That sort of flies in the face of our tradition and of our values, really, as a nation. That public discourse is important, and it's a part of our democracy. So it just seems to me to be that sort of any kind of presidential debate ought to be in front of an audience, unless, of course, there is some sort of safety or medical concern that requires our attention. That was not the case here, and to me, it just doesn't seem to be. There's no benefit to not having an audience, a live audience, who is asked to be quiet and must be quiet, but should be in the room. Doesn't make sense to me. So I don't know who agreed to that or why, but again, would not recommend. And then finally, with this debate, I would also say one of the other rules that they agreed to is that the moderators would not be the arbiters of truth. They couldn't report on facts. They couldn't say, hey, that's not true. You say that, you said this, and that was not true. You said he did that, and that was not true. You said this, and that was not true. We didn't have anybody calling balls and strikes during the debate. And in part, I think that's part of President Biden's job as the opponent here, able to say, hey, that's not true, and take him to task for his lies, take him, meaning former President Trump, to task over his lies. But I also think that the moderators have a duty to speak truth to power. When a lie goes out, when a falsehood goes out, they've got to be able to say, you said this, and that's not the truth, right? And we need to call it out, because a lie don't care who tell it. And they always say that before the truth comes out, the lie has made it around the world at least 2 or 3 times. And we can't continue to allow that, especially when we've got a guy like former President Trump, who is a pathological, consistent liar who doesn't care about the truth. We can't allow that. And we can't have debates that allow that advantage. It's like advantage Trump, and that just is not a good space to be in when it comes to the truth. So those are my, sort of issues with the debate itself. Now let's talk about the fallout, because I think part of the debacle is that the Democrats are in a meltdown. Literally in a meltdown. I'm sure Van Jones is on TV crying again. But listen, the Dems. I want to encourage you all, calm down. Right? It is not uncommon for a sitting president to have a bad debate night, especially on that first debate. I think that's happened to every sitting president I can remember in my lifetime, from Barack Obama, who debated who did he debate? Senator Mitt Romney. President Obama had a terrible debate night. He just looked so sluggish, and I just remember it. And you know what the Democrats did then? They had a meltdown. Literally, they had a meltdown. And he was lethargic. He being a President Obama, he was lethargic. He wasn't as quick on his feet. I think the same thing happened to George W. Bush when he debated John Kerry the first time. The Dems did not have a meltdown then, of course, because it was a Republican president. But I think that also happened to President George H.W. Bush when he debated Bill Clinton. I don't know if I remember that debate so much. I was just a young lad then. But I'm sure he didn't win that debate either. He didn't win the election. So I imagine he didn't win that first debate. And I don't know if I remember Bill Clinton's first debate either. Was that against Ross Perot? No, I can't remember who that was with. But nonetheless, the point is this, right? Sitting presidents do not debate well. They're not used to debating, especially that first time, right? They're not used to debating anymore. They're used to listening to debates. They're used to making the final decisions after hearing all the facts. They're not used to somebody being in their face, challenging them on their record and on the facts. So it's not uncommon for them not to do well in that first debate. They maybe need a debate to get under their belt to be sort of reinvigorated and sort of reminded that you're in peril here. Your job is in peril, not you, but your job is in peril here. And so now you got to dig deep and fight, and you're not going to be able to coast to victory because you're the president. And I think that's good for our democracy. By the way, we gotta that's really good to keep our executive on their feet, because your job is not guaranteed. It's not a lifetime appointment. At least it's not for now. We'll get into that in lawyerish. But the point is, presidents not being at the top of their debate game on their first debate is not uncommon, and it's not cause for all this meltdown that I'm seeing. I mean, they're lighting their hair on fire, theoretically, or it's just in their minds here. It's not a real crisis. I think this is a manufactured crisis brought on in part by the Dems and their sort of shaky nature. I think also it's a media driven hysteria. I was watching Jake Tapper, who had, by the way, a pretty great debate showing himself as a moderator along with Dana Bash. I thought they did such a great job for the most part, asking questions and returning to questions and sort of being able to maintain order. But they did well. I think CNN had a big boost in terms of viewership for the night. And I think what has happened is they're trying to stretch out this CNN bump, or this debate bump, we'll call it, and just trying to stretch it out as long as they can by talking about all these questions about whether Biden is fit for the job. Is he well, and all this other stuff. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. The man is running the free country, the free world. He's the leader of the free world. He's running the country every day, and the results speak for themselves, right? So we can talk about his debate performance or talk about whether he stutters through a word or so. I think that's something we all do. I've been guilty of that. And of course, he has been guilty of that, not only just, maybe because of his age, but he's also had a stutter that he's always had, that he's overcome and continues to work to overcome every day. I imagine that's one of those sort of things that doesn't go away. It's something you got to always work at. And so I give him quite a bit of leeway. We never expected Joe Biden to be a great orator. That was never his gift. His gift has always been getting things done. And that's exactly what he's done. His record speaks for itself. And so I want to encourage my Democratic friends to relax, to calm down, and to get back in position. We need to get behind our candidate. If you see the Republican Party can get behind their lying, their cheating, their fraudulent, their sexual abusing president or presidential candidate, we need to get behind ours, who gets things done. May not sound so well, may not, orate at its best, but he gets things done. He's a good and honorable man, and he loves his country, and he's a good and faithful public servant, and he has been for most of his life. He deserves our support. He deserves for us to get behind him. And let me just say, look at your alternative, right? Your alternative is Donald Trump. Okay, the man who lies. I think we're better off with Biden. That's what I'm going with. They can roll Biden out on a damn stretcher, and he's still going to get my vote because he's the better man for the job. And let's not forget, you're voting not only for a president, but a vice president, an entire administration. You're voting for Supreme Court justices and appeals court justices. You're voting for all of that. And so we got to remember that as we go to the polls and as we talk to our friends and neighbors and family members. Democracy's on the line, and playtime is over. All right. So, woosah. Thanks for letting me get that off my chest. Y'all get in line and let's get Biden another 4 years, would you? All right, I'll be remiss if I didn't spend a little bit of my duly noted time talking about the Bluff City Ball. I talked to you about my big birthday celebration coming up October 5th. You're invited, and I want you to be there. Help me celebrate my 40th birthday while giving back to some great organizations whom I know and love. More to come on that, but you can always visit bluffcityball.com and get more information. I'm super excited about that. I hope you'll join me. I hope you'll sponsor. I hope you'll help make it happen for us and for the organizations which we serve. All right, friends, that is my very long duly noted. We'll be right back with Lawyers. All right, friends, we are back. It's now time for Lawyerish. In our lawyer segment today, I have to talk about the United States Supreme Court. I've decided not to have a guest on today. Maybe later, maybe next episode. We'll probably be back in our regular speed next episode. I'm actually also thinking about taking some time to answer some legal questions. So if you've got some legal questions that you want answered, email us. The email address is lawyerish@apexgroupdc.com. We want to hear from you. I want to take your legal questions. I'm happy to answer them on the show. But today, I have a bone to pick, another bone to pick with the U.S. Supreme Court. So, as you all know, Roe versus Wade has been dismantled. It was the law of the land for 50 to 60 years, and it was the right of women to be able to get an abortion wherever you are in the U.S. By a certain point in time, right? And so it's been the case for, as I said, 50 or 60 years. And so the Supreme Court has dismantled that, largely due to the former president, Donald Trump, who appointed 3 justices who stole a seat from President Obama after Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away. And so he was able to appoint 3 conservative justices to the Supreme Court, and now they have taken away a woman's right to choose. And now what we have in this country is a conglomerate, a smorgasbord, if you will, of abortion laws. Each state has done its own thing, and unfortunately, that has resulted in a little bit of chaos. And actually, I've been reading stories about women losing their lives and people fleeing from one state to the other to get this procedure performed to save the life of the mother, or to not have to carry around a, a, a child that is not alive even, or can't make it. And so, boy, it's been really difficult to hear some of these stories, and I don't. All I have to do is hear it. I don't actually have to live it, and so I'm. It's a scary time for our country, and mostly because of this very radical Supreme Court. That if that wasn't enough for you, just recently they released a new court decision that made bribery legal for public officials, as long as they receive the bribe after the official act. It's completely insane. Here's the backstory. There's a former governor. He was convicted of bribery because he took a vote, or executed some official act in favor of some person who gave him a gift, gave him something of monetary value. But the gift was not received until after the act or the vote was taken. And he was convicted of bribery. The evidence showed that he took that money, to effectuate that vote, to push that policy, to implement that thing that the sponsor wanted, and he was convicted for that. Excuse me. He was in prison, and he appealed to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court overturned his conviction. That's unprecedented. They overturned his conviction, and they said, no, it was not bribery because he received the monetary value after the official act. And they called that, because it came after the official act, it's a gratuitous gift. And I got to tell you, that's the most absurd thing I thought I would ever hear. There's more. But wait, there's more. If that was not incredulous enough, to think that just because you get the money after the act is now not bribery, it's completely absurd. But if that were not enough, the Supreme Court has now carved out some form of immunity for the chief executive officer of the United States, the president of the United States, the commander in chief of the armed forces, now has immunity from criminal prosecution if it can be shown that his or her acts were official acts. And I'm in complete disbelief. I'm discombobulated by the thought of that, and I am troubled by these so-called jurists contorting themselves to now be a political arm of a political party, rather than the third branch of judicial of government, for us, the judicial voice, the voice of reason, of justice, and I'm just troubled by how they have contorted themselves to serve the MAGA party. It is truly troubling. This decision goes against the very foundation, the very fabric of our nation. Everything that we have always stood for, in terms of no man or woman being above the law, is now in question. It's crumbling at this very moment as we speak. It's crumbling, and this is truly troubling for our nation and for all of us. I think, I would say, Richard Nixon is probably turning over in his grave right now, because he resigned the presidency. I think he's the only one to resign the presidency. He didn't resign because he just didn't want it anymore. He resigned because he had already been impeached, and he was about to be removed from office because it came out that he directed the IRS to investigate his enemies, his political enemies. He hired goons to break and enter into the office space of his political opponents to find dirt on them. And and it was determined by the leaders of both parties that that he broke the law by doing that, and therefore that's a high crime and a misdemeanor that is enough for him not only to be impeached but to be removed from office. And instead of being removed, he resigned. But according to this new decision that the Supreme Court has just pulled out of thin air, we'll say that they have pulled out of thin air. It seems that as long as Mr. Nixon had, if he had made an argument that that breaking and entering and using the powers of the government to investigate his enemies, if those were official acts, then he would have been okay. That would have been legal. He would have had immunity from legal prosecution, and that is just simply absurd. I can't even wrap my brain around what that actually means for our nation moving forward. It's in the dissent for this decision. It was ended by saying, with fear for our democracy. And I think I share that fear and that concern, because I don't know where we go from here. If no one is above the law except for the president of the United States, that seems like we now have a monarchy where the king or the queen can do whatever they want, but everybody else is subject to the law. And I think that's the whole reason why the United States was formed in the first place. It's absurd. It's completely absurd. It's scary, and it's troubling. But that's the United States Supreme Court for you. And I think also I'm going to leave you with this one last thought, because I think Democrats have got to get have got to be more. They've got to be stronger in not only just winning and standing on principle, but we've got to be stronger about defending the nation against folks who don't really believe in democracy. We've got to put a stop to this. The MAGA Republicans clearly do not believe in democracy where the people govern themselves. These folks, they want to be in charge, and then they believe in democracy, or what their version of democracy. Their version of democracy is they're in charge, and if they're not in charge, there's not a way that they see them not being in charge. Can you think about the fact that the MAGA Republican Party has never won a popular vote? The Republican Party has not won a popular vote since George W. Bush's second election, and they didn't win the popular vote the first election. I can't remember if he won the popular vote on the second election, but I think he may have. It was a different time then. This was post 9/11. The country was in a different space, more united, and we were at war, and so I think the nation, lined up behind him a little more that second time. But I know the first time he did not win the popular vote, and no Republican has ever won the popular vote since then. And yet they have a lot of power, and I think it's mainly because a lot of us do not vote. So just be mindful of that. And I personally, by the way, am not Democrat or Republican. I have to be Democrat. I'm almost forced to be Democrat in this space because the Republican Party, as we know it, does not exist. It is now the MAGA Party, and I won't be associated with that in any way, form, or fashion. All right. I think I'm done with that too. Okay. Just remember, folks, when we go to the polls today, later this year, we're not just voting for a person. We're voting for not even just voting for a party. We're voting for, justices. We're voting for rights. We're voting for freedom. We're voting for justice. One side is for the people, and the other seems to not be. And so, just be mindful of that. I won't tell you who to vote for, but I think you can probably guess which way I'm leaning. Okay. All right. That's it for Lawyerish. We'll be right back. All right, friends, we're back, and it's now time for our wellness check. The wellness check this week is be grateful for all that has come. Be grateful for all that has left. Whatever had to go wasn't yours, or it was, and it ain't no more. I'll read it one more time. Be grateful for all that has come. Be grateful for all that has left. Whatever you had, whatever you had, okay, whatever you had that left wasn't yours, and or it was okay. You know what? Let's try this one more time. Be grateful for all that has come. Be grateful for all that has left. Whatever had to go wasn't yours, or it was, and it ain't no more. Either way, be grateful. That's your wellness check today, friends. Remember to live life in peace and not pieces. Be well. All right, friends, we're just about done. This is your motivational moment. Don't give up on the person you want to become. Your motivational moment today is don't give up on the person you want to become. It's not too late to be whoever it is you dream you are. You do have to accept who you are. Don't be ashamed and don't be afraid of that. Be accepting of who you are, but you don't have to give up on who you want to be. It all breaks down to everyday activities, everyday patterns, everyday habits, and they all start with one day, one thing, putting one foot in front of the other. Take that step to be who you want to be today. Don't give up on that person, even though it feels tough. Maybe you're feeling tired and you want to give up, and maybe you just, I just can't be that person. I can't be in shape. I can't eat right. I can't do this. I can't do that. Whatever it is, that's hogwash. What's true is you can be who you want to be. You are who you say you are. You are who God says you are. So don't give up on who you want to be. Your dreams are yours. You can do it. And the time is now. It's not too late. All right, that's your motivational moment. We'll be right back to wrap things up. Oh. Well, friends, we've done it again. Thanks for listening and for watching. I so appreciate you doing this journey with me. This has been season 3, episode 9 of Lawyerish. We'll be back after our recess, our brief recess, next month with regular episodes. Or just send in your questions. I want to be able to answer your legal questions, so email us your questions and all of your feedback to lawyerish@apexgroupdc.com. Remember that Lawyerish is brought to you by Apex, where aptitude meets excellence, and we're powered by the Green Law Firm, your one-stop shop for everything real estate in Tennessee and Mississippi. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Like any voyage, it's always just a little bit more fun if you can bring a friend or two along. I want to thank StreamYard for the voyage vibe today. Remember, it is called, what is it called? Oh, Daydreaming. Y'all, it's Friday. It's been a long week. Thank you for your patience. And full disclosure, this has been like the 4th time I've had to record this episode. The devil is busy, but we made it through once again. I want to thank you all again. I just so appreciate you. I really do. I appreciate the opportunity to do this, and share this space with each and every one of you. I can't wait to be doing it again. Enjoy your summer. Be safe. Be well. Until next time, we'll see you soon.